There was a recent tragedy involving a woman named Michaela. I didn't know her personally, and I'm not here to speculate about her life or her choices, but I do know that she spent years rescuing abused animals. She poured her time, her money, and her emotional energy into saving creatures that most people would rather look away from. And despite that, maybe even because of that, she became the target of relentless online harassment. There were entire forums mocking her, people digging through her life, judging her appearance, second-guessing her motives. Strangers and even people she once called friends. The harassment didn't stop, and eventually neither did her pain, and she took her own life. This video isn't here to eulogize Michaela or pick apart the details of her story. It's here because what happened to her is not rare. We live in a world where people seem addicted to cruelty, where mockery is sport, and where doing good is no longer enough to protect you from hate. Sometimes it even makes you a target. So today I want to explore the psychology behind that cruelty through the lens of Carl Jung's work, especially his idea of the shadow. We're going to look at why people lash out at others, and how we can make sure we don't become one of them. Welcome to Archetypal Mirror, your guide to personal transformation through Jungian insight and modern soul work. Let's begin. Carl Jung believed that we all carry a shadow. It's not a monster hiding in the dark, it's the parts of ourselves we hide from. Our envy, our self-loathing, our insecurity, our desire for power or validation, these traits don't disappear just because we suppress them. Instead, they live in our unconscious, and they find ways to come out. One of the most common ways? Projection. We take the parts of ourselves we can't accept, and we see them in other people. So if I hate how passive I've become, and I see someone taking action, that person might upset me. If I feel invisible and someone else gets attention, I might convince myself that they don't deserve it. This is what happens online a lot. Someone like Michaela represents compassion, discipline, and devotion. And for someone silently drowning in self-hatred, that can feel unbearable to see. Not because she's bad, but because she is a mirror. And when you're not ready to face your reflection, you want to smash the mirror. So the attacks begin. She's fake, she's manipulative, she's just doing it for attention. But beneath all those claims is a simpler truth. She makes me feel something I don't want to feel about myself. Jung warned us, the more we repress the shadow, the more we see it everywhere except inside. And when that happens, cruelty can feel justified. One of the hardest parts of this story is that some of the people who hurt Michaela most were once her friends. That's not an outlier, it's actually a common pattern. Sometimes, friendships are built not on shared values, but on shared pain. We connect through complaining, trauma, and bitterness, and we feel close because we are hurting in the same way. But what happens when one person begins to heal? What happens when they start to rise above the pain and do something meaningful and break the old pattern? The other person gets left behind. And now the friendship starts to feel unbalanced. Not because the rising person betrayed anyone, but because their growth highlights the stagnation of the other. The choice becomes clear. Face your own wounds or tear the other person down so that you don't have to. And that is what betrayal often is. It's not cruelty for its own sake, but a desperate attempt to preserve a fragile self-image. Jung saw betrayal as a form of shadow possession, when the unconscious takes the wheel. The friend doesn't say, "I'm jealous of your healing." They say that you're a fraud. But the target of that rage isn't the problem. It's the part of themselves they've refused to confront. What happens when hundreds or thousands of people do this at once? You get a mob. And in the digital age, mobs are everywhere. Forums, comment sections, subreddits, entire communities form around shared contempt. Jung called this the collective shadow. What happens when individuals suppress their darkness and then unite under a false sense of moral superiority? The result is not justice, it's ritual dehumanization. They convince themselves they're exposing someone, but what they're really doing is projecting their own shame together. And that's the terrifying thing about mobs. Everyone feels righteous while no one feels responsible. And the worst part about that is that it feels good. Validation, upvotes, shared anger, but it comes at the cost of someone else's humanity. And once you start playing that game, you become the very thing you thought you were fighting. Before I go, I want to say something a little bit personal, because I've been there. I know what it feels like to fall so deep into despair that you start to wonder if any of this is worth it. And if you're in that place right now, if you feel like there's no way forward, like the pain is too much, I want to tell you something that I wish someone else had told me when I was going through it. Life is a tunnel, and when you're in the darkest part, it feels endless. The silence gets loud, the walls close in, and you start to believe that this is all there is. But it's not. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise that if you just keep walking, even slowly, you will eventually see it. You don't have to feel hopeful today. You just have to keep moving. You are not the darkness that you're trapped in. You're the one walking through it. And that means that you still have a chance to find your way out. Thanks for watching, and best of luck on your path towards integration.